Shoot lads, you can do it yet. Come on Newport County, oh, bang it in the net.
Hello everybody and welcome to a Taff's Word. This one is going to be put simply as the Rowberry era. And first things first, the fact that he's from Newport makes it so much easier for us with the LA chant. We can just put Rowberry as our gaffer instead of Flinny as our gaffer. So yeah, that's an easy switch over. So we can keep that chant alive without having to rebuild the lyrical structure of it. So it's all good. But yeah, so I'm usually right. I like to write a few pointers down and sort of put it in front of me. So what I generally tend to do when I do these sort of off the cuff, I do tend to leave things out that maybe I should have brought up. But thankfully, this time around, I don't feel like I need to do that. I just feel like I just need to basically speak how it is. Because the one thing, I've always felt I always deliver the message. But like I said, I miss things out that I particularly don't want to miss out. But I do feel like I usually deliver the message I'm looking to deliver. But this message is going to be quite simple, and the first part of it is basically you have to be eternally thankful first of all to Michael Flynn. What Michael Flynn did for this football club as manager, what he endured, with the playoff finals, and he still had it in him to start this season as well. I think it speaks volumes about the kind of character he is. I've said this a few times on these blogs and to people. The Great Escape, the reason why some people put a lot of emphasis, now, there's a lot of fans who quite rightly say you have to move on from the Great Escape because football moves on. If you look back too far, you'll be left behind, and I completely 100% agree with that. But sometimes you have to credit something or an occurrence. Let's call it an occurrence. Sometimes you have to credit an occurrence completely 100% on its merits. And the Great Escape for me is something that there is no manager in world football right now who would stake their reputation and say they could have done that. I'm not saying that Flynn's better than all the rest of the. I'm not saying he's the best manager in the world. He was the right person for that job, of course. There could have been other managers out there, great managers who would have been the right people for that job, seeing that Great Escape through. But again, like I say, and I've always put an emphasis on this, out of 34 games prior to the 12 that Flynn took over from, we'd won 5 league games in 34, which means there was 29 games that season that we'd failed to win in the league. Flynn took over the last 12 and won 7 of them to complete that. So a team that could only win 5 out of 34, under Flynn won 7 in 12 to get through that Great Escape by the skin of our goddamn teeth. There's no manager in world football that's going to say they could have achieved that. Which is why I always put a lot of emphasis on the Great Escape, because of the sheer importance to us as a club. Now, there's clubs out there like you got like Notts County in the National League at the moment. As an example, they're a big enough club that they could survive that, and that they're very likely to get promoted again. I mean, the likes of Luton, Cambridge, Grimsby have survived it in the past. Bristol Rovers came straight back up. Tranmere come straight back up. Well, not straight back up, but they were in the division a couple of years, but they came up. There's big clubs who were taken out of the Football League who came back. Whether we could have done that, I don't know. I suppose you'd have had to put us in that position to see if we could. Like Cheltenham were a seemingly smaller club that got relegated and came back. Whether we could have done it in the financial position we were in that season, the following season. Now I know there was a director I used to talk to. He didn't used to give me anything valuable, but he used to sort of talk to me about situations. And during the Great Escape, he basically said that our board of directors had 2 budgets that they were working towards. And the one budget was if we stay up, the other budget is for if we go down. And he said that the gap between the two is so significant, it would scare you. And to be honest with you, hearing that, that's one of the things I didn't want to hear. I didn't want to hear that we were going to be in that position if we went down, which makes that Great Escape all the more important. So we were in a very, very dire financial position at that point. Then the cup runs, the playoff finals, everything that Flynn amounted to achieving. Now, I know there's a lot of fans out there, they're hungry for promotion now. I'm hungry for promotion. I've always been one of those. As long as we're in League Two, we're in the Football League, we have cup runs, and we're competitive in League Two, I'm happy. Obviously, you want to progress in football, absolutely. You want to go up the divisions, absolutely. I want to see County playing in the top division. Every one of us would like to see County in the Premier League one day. Whether that's going to happen or not remains to be seen, but it's happened for Cardiff and Swansea, Bournemouth, Brentford, Brighton, who have all played at our level, not all too long ago. And these clubs have managed to get themselves into the Premier League. There's clubs who've been in the Premier League who've come down to our level. So the likes of Portsmouth, Bradford, Blackpool, Coventry have all come down to our level. So yeah, we want to progress, but realistically thinking, what Flynn was doing for us, we were more than happy with. And as a club, the structure of the club now, it's still nowhere near where we want it to be. We want a ground of our own. We want a training ground of our own. We want these assets, to the club, because the only asset the club has is Football League status. We lose that and we've got nothing. So, yeah. But the thing is, what we are is solvent at the moment. We're in a sane financial position. We're stable as a football club. We're able to put a competitive budget forward for the right manager, which takes me on to the manager. What Flynn did was absolutely phenomenal. We can take absolutely nothing away from him. He is a club legend, and I was one of those that always felt if he went, who the bloody hell's going to take on our job and do as good a job as him? We're going to run that bloody lottery again of, Butcher, Feeney, Wesley. Were we going to bring in another one of them who was going to take us backwards again? Were we going to be like Oldham and Scunthorpe and Colchester, good, big clubs, fighting relegation in League Two, and we're a smaller club than them and we're fighting promotion in League Two? Were we going to go backwards if we made that wrong appointment? We made that appointment now, and the first thing that makes me happy about this appointment, first of all, it's a Newport lad who has a connection to the club. So for me, that's a big plus. Now, this is something I've always said. When it comes to fan-owned clubs, they tend to thrive when their manager has a connection to the club. Like Exeter have always been competitive in League Two, and they always generally tend to have managers who have an association with the club, or they are a local person. You look at AFC Wimbledon got promoted with Neil Ardley into League One, who is an ex-Wimbledon player. They've got people who have close ties to Wimbledon as their managers. You look at Ainsworth at Wickham and how good he's done. He's taken Wickham to the bloody championship, from League Two. They were almost relegated in League Two. They saved their skin on the last day and sent Bristol Rovers down. And Gareth Ainsworth has taken them, to beyond where they ever really would have expected to go. Not a massive club either. So managers with, for fan-owned clubs with associations is always a good thing, which is, I think, must have been taken into account during the recruitment process with James Rowberry. So he's come in with pedigree. Pedigree is in, there's a lot of promise behind him. There's a lot of people speaking highly of him. But again, we've heard this before. Anthony Hudson, Harry Redknapp vouching for him and everything like that. But there was something a bit different about Rowberry. Now, a lot of people spoke highly of him. A lot of people said, yeah, he would be a good appointment. Everyone's got to start somewhere. And the reason why, the Amber Army have sort of, in a way jokingly, but in a way likingly, have associated him with being the Welsh Mourinho. The reason we've done that is because his story is the same as Mourinho. So Mourinho went to Barcelona to learn his trade under some good quality managers as a first team coach. Eventually then going back to Portugal to manage Porto, and the rest is history then, you know. Took on the Porto job, won the Champions League, come to Chelsea, didn't quite take the Champions League, but he won the Premier League a few times. He did the Champions League and Serie A with Inter. So Rowberry, Newport lad, goes off to learn his trade under some great managers like Neil Warnock, Mick McCarthy, you know, people like that. Comes back to Newport, previously being a first team coach, to start his first job as a manager. And even though I know without the pizza trophy, that doesn't really matter all that much. I quite like the tournament, but it doesn't really matter to me that we're out of it. The FA Cup, now that was painful, mind you. To go out to Morecambe, of all clubs, at their ground with their smug, shitty fans, rubbing it into us with their stupid banners and their stupid t-shirts and everything like that, you'd think when you win a playoff final, which are second best in, and the only reason why they won it, now, if they try to argue this point, they're absolutely deluded, but the only reason they won that playoff final is purely because the two big calls that needed to be made by a Premier League, ex-Premier League referee went in their favour wrongly. Two big calls. The big call to just completely let the keepers freaking punch in the face on Scotty Bennett's slide, and then that absolute joke of a penalty. I go back to this a lot because, yeah, it's still painful. And the reason it's painful is because it happened to us freaking twice, which is why when it comes to Flinney, maybe Flinney leaving was down to the fact that he just ran out of steam. He just didn't have it in him to keep trying to push past those boundaries. People said he'd taken us as far as he could. No, he hadn't taken us as far as he could. He'd taken us to where he should have been in League One, and he had it taken from him, like we all did as supporters, like we did as a club. Now with Rowberry, but there's something about his approach. There's something about his pedigree. You know, his education in football, his history, his experience that he's already got at such a young age. There's something really striking about this guy that tells me that he knows the game well enough. I speak to some of the players like Matty Dolan, for example, who all rate him as top level. So a potential Premier League manager one day, you know, potential manager of Wales, potential manager of maybe going back to Cardiff, hopefully after he takes us up a couple of divisions, and then would look to jump ship to take Cardiff into the Premier League. You know, just thinking now, there is absolutely something about him. He knows this football. He knows this game. He knows how it should be played. He's got a modern spin. He's a young, exciting coach, a young, exciting manager now, and I mean, in the 3 games that we've played already, I mean, you could look at Bristol Rovers away. We took the game to them, and we opened it up with 2 goals pretty early on. But then they got one back just before half time, and they came out with a momentum. And previous managers, I'm not saying with Flinney, because Flinney would have it in him to change that, but he wouldn't always be able to do it. But Rowberry did what he needed to do to swing the game back in our favour, and then we went on to score the 3rd, and then the game was ours. Stevenage, he knew that if he attacked them straight from the off, we could take the initiative early on, which is exactly what we did, and we ended up winning the game 5-0. One of the best performances I've ever seen at Ronnie Parade. And then Hartlepool. Now, we're talking about a formidable opponent now. Hartlepool still on a high from promotion last season. Whether it was deserved or not, I still think Torquay were robbed in that playoff final, so I know they know how we feel. But by the by, Hartlepool were there, like I say, on a high. And they've got a great team this year, and you can see by the way that they played and the fact that they've won 6 out of 7 league games at home, drawing the other, so we were unbeaten at home until they played us. For us to play the way that we did against them as well. Now, there were times where they were bringing back the initiative. Now, their manager, I think, has got something about him. I'd imagine the one who's in charge now is going to take the job on permanently. But for me, they were one of the best teams I've seen us play this season. I thought Northampton were good. Salford weren't so good. But then I've seen us play against a few decent teams. I thought Northampton were very good. Harrogate looked really good. But other than that, I haven't seen us play anybody really, really good until I seen us play against Hartlepool. And I really thought they were something special. They could well hit a playoff place this season if they don't run out of steam, of course. I've seen this in a lot of clubs, you know, where they'll be doing well and then they just run out of steam. I'd like to think that they can keep it going, because there's a lot to be admired in Hartlepool at the moment. As much as, you know, the whole Jeff Stelling thing, you know, is still quite fresh in a lot of people's minds. You know, for me personally, that's behind me now. They got a great home support. You could tell that. I was watching on iFollow, but you could tell their home support is excellent. You know, I don't think I've ever seen their stadium as full as that. But no, I've been at Hartlepool twice. I haven't seen the atmosphere like that before. So you could tell there's something really special going on up there. So there was a lot of adjustments in the game, and Rowberry made the right adjustments for us. Now, the only time they really tested our goalkeeper, was the goal, and he couldn't get anywhere near it. It was a great free kick. But I thought we played phenomenal. I thought we played excellent, patient possession football. We were able to play out of the back, you know, without any problem. And like I said, the right changes were made at the right times. And yeah, the goal came late, but late goals happen all the time. We were in that game all the way, and we could have taken it, you know, and we did. Hartlepool could have taken it, but, you know, we defended so well. We were so organised in the midfield. Everybody was playing excellent ups, and, you know, I think he's been great in the majority of games he played. A couple of shaky ones, but can't all be perfect. But the way we won that game, there's something special happening at our club at the moment, and the way that we've played the last 3 league games. I mean, the Morecambe game I'm just going to strike off, even though we played great. The Swindon one was pointless to look at. I think that we could well be in a position where we could get into that top 3 finally, because what I want is to avoid the playoffs if we can, because I don't want to have to go through that again. I don't think any of you want to have to go through that again. You know, I mean, we've been robbed in the final twice, and I'm not being funny. I know they say a third time a charm and all that, but I don't want to be in a position where we go down to that stadium again, you know, where we've had so many happy memories, and just, you know, previous to these 2 finals, we have had happy memories at Wembley. You know, it's bad enough that we've had to go through that twice. I don't want to be in a position where we may end up losing a 3rd time, because, like I say, a playoff final is a massive lottery in a lot of cases, and you will go into it, and if your players aren't in it on the day, or their players are just in it that bit more on the day, you could just lose. You know, we could deservedly lose, but it doesn't mean that it won't hurt. So personally, I'd rather avoid the playoffs. I got a feeling that this man is going to be the man to take us up to League One, avoiding the playoffs, and we'll finish in a top 3 position, as long as we don't lose any loan players now. Because the way Ollie Cooper's playing, I really hope Swansea don't see value in taking him back. Swansea have done that to us a few times in the past, like with Cooper, like with Ollie McBurney and players like that, you know, where they've loaned us players and they've taken them back when they've done well. Ollie McBurney, they took him back to send him to a better team. I mean, yeah, okay, so he did what he's done all right in the end, and they made a bit of money on him, but I don't think they made the right call with that. The thing is, Brighton did the right thing with Ben White, because I think he definitely benefited in having that full season. So hopefully Swansea see that side of it and think, let's leave him for the rest of the season there, and next season we'll have a player on our hands. I think Azaz, the same thing. I don't think Villa are going to need Azaz. You know, hopefully they don't try and take him and put him into a bigger club. Hopefully the same with Kane, because I think those 3 players in that midfield, if we can keep them fit for the season, they are going to run the show, and they are going to, you know, create the chances that we need. And when we got the players like Baker, Richardson and Taff scoring goals for us, I'm glad that that question's been answered, by the way. Where are the goals coming from? Yeah, sick of hearing that question. I'm glad it's been answered in the way that it has, you know, forced down their throats, basically. You know, have a bit of fucking faith, like, you know. But like I say, I feel like there's something really special happening at this football club now, and I feel like we're all ready to get strapped in for a bit of a ride this season, and I for one can't fucking wait, you know, for it to keep going. And Swindon home coming up, you know, it could be four league wins in a row for Rowberry. We generally got a good record against Swindon, home or away. Swindon are doing well, but they are having results where they're not doing so well. So if we catch them on the right day, we could murder them if we don't apply ourselves in the right way. But for some reason, I just get this feeling that if something doesn't seem right, Rowberry's got the answer. I just get that feeling with him. I get that real strong, confident feeling that regardless of what happens, he's going to have the answer. He's going to lose games, as League Two. That's always going to happen. But I think he'll win a damn sight more than he'll lose. And I can see that top 3 finish, possibly even the title, in reach. Now, yeah, you got clubs, Port Vale have started really well. Forest Green have started really well. Exeter have started really well. But the good thing with that, like Exeter, Harrogate, Hartlepool, a lot of the teams that are already in and around us, we've already been away to them. So it's good that we've got those games out of the way with, and we've won 2 and drawn. You know, we've won 1 and drawn 2 of those 3 that we've mentioned. So look, you know, I'm just going to keep battering on about this all night unless I call it out. But yeah, like I say, we're on to something good, yeah. And you know, let's enjoy the ride, basically. Anyway, like I say, I'm going to leave it there. Thanks all for watching. If you've watched all nearly 22 minutes of this, thank you. Maybe I don't talk as much shit as I think, but no, it's great. I'm going to try and do more of these videos, so no, I really appreciate you sticking by me for them. And there's been a few people obviously calling for more of my videos to come back. Don't worry, you're always in my thoughts. And yeah, when I can put these videos out, I will be. Anyway, looking forward to Wales versus Belgium on Tuesday. Got tickets for that, so that's going to be great. I'm going to try and bring some content to you guys from that game as well, so keep your eyes peeled for it. Thanks all, cheerio for now, and as always, up the county. Many thanks for watching the latest content on the Amber Army channel. Please make sure you leave us a like. Make sure you subscribe for more content, both for the neutral football fan and also plenty of Newport County. Even more Newport County content can be found on the club's iFollow channel on the link above. It is just £4.49 per month to subscribe to that service. And those of you feeling extra generous can also support us on Patreon on the link at the bottom there. That would be a monthly donation of your choice. Thank you again, make sure you've subscribed, and as always, up the county.